I am in the literal middle of nowhere, South Carolina, about a half hour from Sumter, South Carolina, which is also in the middle of nowhere, but it's a little slice of paradise. The Bradford family found it a couple of hundred years ago, started farming here. Amazingly, today, there's still Bradfords farming this same land. More amazingly, they're still growing the same crops. Most incredibly, they're still doing it the same way. They're farming like it's 1699. Come on, let me take you where the food comes from. Nat, I tell you, looking around at this little parcel of paradise you've got here, I think this is what most people have in their mind when they think of farm. When you close your eyes and you think of that word farm, this is what you see. You got a little bit of this, the corn's over here, the collards are over here, the okra's over there. You're a very uncommon operator in today's agricultural world, though.
We're very much produce driven. And so we're not gonna have 1,000 acres of okra, 1,000 acres of collards. We're really more of a homestead than a large commercial operation.
Well, when we say a family farm, I mean, these are your kids picking this okra.
They're learning. They're gonna learn that this is how you run a farm, and they've got to know how to do it if that's something they want to continue down the road, you know.
This is okra. Okra is a summertime staple in the South. It's a worldwide crop. We all know okra, but they don't know this okra.
This is our family variety. We've been growing it and passing it down since the mid-1800s, and we've been selecting it to be a large tender pod. So we can grow 6, 7, 8-inch pods as tender as a cucumber, and it's fantastic. You can eat it raw, in a salad, any traditional method you want to do, but we have chefs that are going crazy over it. This is not the 1800s okra. Might look like it, taste like it, but it's adapted to modern day.
Now we see the rest of the gang wandering in here. Yep. This is some of the labor. Aiden, come on over here. Come on in here. These guys, this is your workforce, This is
part of it, yep. So, these are the ones that are here today and not on delivery.
So everybody's working
somewhere. We're all busy. And it's neat that we eat it. So, I mean, really, every morning, it's a ritual. It takes a while, but we'll spend an hour in the morning cutting up okra, cooking it, and we'll have okra and eggs.
Speaking of which, look at this. This is beautiful right out of this field. You eat this? You like this? Yeah, do you? All right, let's see. Oh my word.
Tender and sweet, isn't it?
I would have never told you I could stand here and bite into raw okra.
Yep.
It usually breaks a tooth.
It's delicious.
It is.
It's as tender as a banana.
Yep.
Like making a new religion.
So you can, it doesn't matter how big the okra is. The way you can tell if it's tender or not is if it snaps clean.
Right.
So if it snaps like that, it's going to be a tender pod no matter how big it is.
All right, well, we could stand out here and eat okra all morning, or we can keep working.
We got work to do.
Let's do that.
Yep.
All right, so we're out here. This is kind of like looking for Easter eggs. We're looking for the perfect watermelon in this patch. How do you even know when a watermelon's ready?
This one has all the signs that it should be really close.
Number one, it's huge.
It's big. It's not little like, that one's got a long way to go. That's what a Bradford should look like.
Let's look at it. What's it?
So I'm listening for a sound, not an echo, you know, not a ping, 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 right, but a plunk, plunk, a dull, flat sound. Yeah. The other thing I noticed is as they get ripe, they lose that blue-green waxy color.
Right.
You can see it underneath here where it's still waxy, where it's not been in the sun, but they get these little brown flecks.
Look at
see,
that.
That's what these young melons look like. You see that wax?
Sure.
That's their sunscreen. That gives you a little bit of protection.
So this one, good Lord.
And we roll it over, we look for black widows.
Sounds like
No black widows. Looks good, but you can see also as it's grown, like a glacier going across that sand soil, scars it up.
Oh my gosh, look at
as
that.
it's pushing. And
So that's what those marks on the bottom of watermelon are from, is from the actual growing
and
across the
stretching
dirt
across the sand.
that it's in. How much does this thing weigh now?
That's probably a good 40 to 45. That's a nice one. That's a seed melon there.
I don't know what else anybody else is eating, but I got mine.
It's a good uniform shape. It's filled out all the way to, I mean, it was pollinated completely. That ought to be a really good melon.
Come on, let's go.
You gonna tote it?
I guess so. Looks like.
Hi, I'm Chef Holly Shute with the Georgia Department of Agriculture representing Georgia Grown. So we're going to be making a roasted Vidalia onion salad dressing. So we've got some Dijon mustard, which we're going to put in a little food processor. Then we've got some pre-roasted Vidalia onions. They're chopped, tossed with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and roasted in the oven. And to that, we're going to add a little bit of sherry vinegar. Then we're going to pulse that. We're going to season that with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then some olive oil. And that's all there is to it. And you can use that on your favorite types of salad greens. So remember to take advantage of sweet Vidalia onions when they're in season.
Vidalia onions, hand-planted, hand-picked by chefs.
Nat, there's a lot of people that would look around at what you're doing and say, is this guy crazy? I mean, when we look at the legacy behind all of this, your family history, the heritage involved in it, you know, I think people would think you're old-fashioned, but really you're anything but old-fashioned. You're looking squarely ahead. You're learning from the past, but applying it to the future, not just for you, but for all the generations of Bradford and for farmers to come.
So the first thing for me is I want to grow my family's crops. That's the number one thing.
And these are all the Bradford legacy crops,
Yep.
things that have been preserved and handed down. You're famous in this part of the world for your watermelon, the Bradford watermelon. And people literally place orders for them in advance and drive for miles and miles and miles to pick them up.
And we're rethinking.
The bees are after me.
Keep rolling, guys. Keep rolling.
Goodness.
What was
You got one on
was
your
that?
back. You got one on your back. Turn around. Hold still. I got it.
Gosh, man.
Now the bees have just chased him in the house from the field. One of the things we see around your fields are beehives.
Yeah.
And you're maintaining your own beehives. I know a lot of commercial farms actually lease beehives, and the beekeeper will pull them up on a flatbed trailer and they'll stay there 2, 3, 4 weeks until they get the job done and move on elsewhere. But that's one of your occupational hazards.
We get reminded every now and then that that's their space too. So, and without the honeybees, I mean, they increase your yield on certain crops 10-15%. In our watermelons, which are long, the oblong melons, they're the most difficult crop, those long types, to get well pollinated and be well formed. That's why a lot of the watermelons you see commercially are round and stocky. Those fill out a whole lot easier. They don't take as much pollination as the large oblong melons do. David Shields, food historian, USC professor.
University of South Carolina.
USC, South Carolina. He's the one I connected with originally with our watermelon story. We knew that it was an old special variety to us. It had been documented in a book called 50 Years Along the Roadside. It was his experience over 50 years of seeing agriculture change from mule-drawn implements to combines. Massive change in the agricultural landscape. but he told a series of short stories and his relationships with these farmers over that 50-year period. He was friends with my great-granddad, Chief Bradford. He was the chief farmer of the area, and he would give word to J.M. Eliezer when the watermelons were in season. And so he would come down and take the back seat out of his car and load him up with watermelons and send me back. But he told of that relationship with my great-granddad and the watermelon in that book. So that was our only historical document that we had growing up, and it was something that we were really proud of. So I got online 2012, it was in November, and one night late I got online and was just Googling anything I could, Bradford watermelon, any rabbit trail it took me down, and I came across Dr. David Shields' website, American Heritage Vegetables, and he referenced that same book from 1865 talking about those ancestral melons from South Carolina, the Clarendon, the Souder, the Bradford. There are the three that I remember off the top of my head. And so I'm thinking, this guy knows something. And then he lamented, of all the watermelons, these ancestral melons that were lost, if there was one that I could bring back, it would be the Bradford. I was like, oh my gosh. All right, I looked his email up and shot him an email that night, told him a brief synopsis of our family history and about this book, 50 Years Along the Roadside, that here's our watermelon documented, and then here's the book that you've referenced. And said, could you please confirm that these are one and the same watermelon? And I went to bed. It was about 1 in the morning. At 9 in the morning, I checked my email, and I've got an email sitting in there. Oh my gosh, I've been looking for this watermelon for 10 years.
Wow.
This is the third oldest watermelon in U.S. history. It was by far the most sought after and desired watermelon of the 19th century. It disappeared in the early 1900s.
But
To have it
your family
intact.
had kept growing it
Right.
all this time.
Wasn't found in a seed bank,
But
at
they're
a
just pulling it
university.
out of the backyard to cut up on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. We've kept it going, well documented, father to son for, my kids are 8 generations now. I can't tell you what that's like for me I've been a horticulturist my whole life. And to know that there's this story back there that's way deeper and bigger than I ever thought it was, it's a tremendous gift. But we're producing the best watermelon experience that you'll have on the planet. For whatever reason, the spotlight's fallen on me to collect those seeds, and I do have a sense of stewardship about it, that I may not sell them, but I'm going to grow them and I'll make a seed increase. And a lot of times I'll send seeds back to them, but they'll go in my freezer, and it's a backup. It's making sure that someone has the ability to use those seeds down the road.
It's amazing to me to step outside of this house and to step into your fields. I could be standing there in 1750, and that's pretty much what it would look like. That's pretty much exactly what I would be looking at.
My family grows North Carolina sweet potatoes.
My family grows North Carolina sweet potatoes.
My family grows North Carolina sweet potatoes.
My family grows North Carolina sweet potatoes. In fact, over 2/3 of all sweet potatoes produced in America are grown in North Carolina.
So we know what we're doing.
At the North Carolina Sweet Potato Commission, we know that sweet potato is spelled as one word. Not sure about that? Check it out.
Our family grows North Carolina sweet potatoes, but Mom liked me best.
Today we're going to be featuring Baker Farms collard greens. We're making a frittata. We've got some colored peppers, some onions, with a little bit of salt and pepper, roasted potatoes, collard greens, eggs with some half and half, cayenne pepper, smoked paprika, the salt and pepper, fresh basil. Pour those eggs on top, add some feta cheese, and pop that in the oven to 350 degrees until the eggs are just set, and we got some nice bubbling feta cheese.
Well, I think we got a Bradford standing right here. We probably just ought to ask him, Nat, can we have some?
Yeah, absolutely. I've sliced a little bit up for you. Made some convenient wedges. You don't have to stop before you get to the rind.
You can bite on into it?
Yeah, it's tender. It's a little tart, but that rind is really good with a little sea salt and lime juice. It's better than a cucumber.
It's juicy enough, right?
It's a historic moment eating a Bradford watermelon.
I'll tell you what, let's toast to it.
Cheers.
I'll toast.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, guys.
All right.
It's really sweet.
That's transporting. This is like watermelons my grandparents grew in their garden.
You can tell how tender it is. Now, I'll tell you, that soft flesh like that, the first harvest that I put on a trailer and took to Charleston, I put a layer of hay down on the trailer and stacked them one layer deep, thinking, okay, they should travel just fine. But the problem was the action on that trailer, the shaking. They didn't crack the melons, but they loosened the meat inside. And we cut them open, and they were slushy. So, I mean, there again, it's not just that did they crack or did they not crack. That's why these commercial melons have such a hard, crunchy flesh. I mean, if I can't hardly move these to Charleston, these are melons that are being shipped all over the world now. So, yeah, it's I mean, I call it the cotton candy of the watermelon world. It's just so tender.
And that's all great, but frankly, standing here in this kitchen right now, Tom, I could care less. It's just good.
It's great.
It's just good. And it's not just good. It's so good.
Really good. Very sweet and watery.
It's so good. That's history in your hand right there. We're all saving these seeds in our hand to put in this bowl for your future use.
Yep.
And now over here, this looks like kind of like a mad scientist thing. We got little gourds and another kind of corn we had not discovered yet.
Seeds.
Peas, peanuts, other peanuts. Something I used to see on the back of pennies.
Sangasti rye.
Rye.
The oldest cultivated rye in existence.
In existence.
Yep.
So when we talk about ancient grains, that's literally as ancient as it gets.
There's about 400 acres of that grown in Sangasti, which is a little town in Estonia outside of Russia. That is where Russian rye vodka originated. We're gonna figure something out to do with it. But rye vodka is way up on the list. So over here is the North African cantaloupe. Came back from World War II. We call it the big toe cantaloupe. It's got a tremendous story. You need to get that someday. This is another tremendous southeastern variety. This is the candy roaster squash, bred by the Cherokee Indians, late 1700s, early 1800s, in the Piedmont region of the Carolinas, North Georgia, and Tennessee. That's another great one the chefs are really loving. And one that I'm probably the most excited about is the Dutch fork pumpkin. The locals call it the old-timey cornfield pumpkin, but it's not very marketable, so we're saying Dutch fork pumpkin, you know, and it gives a place to it. This is the true South Carolina pumpkin, grown by the Congaree Indians, the Cherokee, and folks in the central region of South Carolina. Same genus and species as a butternut squash, except these are big like pumpkins, and they're fantastic.
Schumann Farms has 4 foundational pillars that we get up every day and go to work and strive to: customer service, quality of product, innovative marketing, and giving back. If somebody were to ask me what business Schumann Farms is in, I would tell them customer service. Everything flows down and out from customer service. Without our customers, there is no business. Quality of product, we're in fresh produce, subject to weather, subject to all sorts of things. When I say quality of product, I want consistency. We want consistent quality. And then innovative marketing. How do we as a company help our customers sell our product? So we want to go around to the consumer, create consumer demand, and have them pull it through the channel of distribution. And then giving back. is one of our foundational pillars. You know, we've been blessed with resources, and we feel like it is our responsibility to be good stewards of those resources. In our business, being a good steward means giving back to the communities that support our products.
At Red Sun Farms, we understand how important it is to know where your food comes from. Our master growers select the very best non-GMO seeds to propagate and harvest in our high-tech greenhouses. Our farms are home to different varieties of tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers in both conventional and organic formats. Whether you're enjoying produce from our farms in Mexico, the USA, or Canada, your family will be enjoying the highest quality and most flavorful produce year-round. When you buy from Red Sun Farms, you will experience our seed-to-plate difference.
From North Carolina's mountains to the sea, when it comes to selecting and serving the best local foods and produce for you and your family, it's got to be NC.
We get a lot of people say that when they come here. They look around and they just think it's so ideal, and it's what everyone kind of dreams about. And I mean, in ways, it is. It is.
Now, what they don't know is the work that goes into it all.
No, I mean, I didn't know what went into it. I just, you know, I knew it was this big old house, and I could make it our own. And you know, you have dreams about what's going to happen, but you don't know until you're in it.
And farming is all hands on deck.
It is. And even from the beginning, when we were going to move here, I would always question that. How are we going to make it?
Yeah, what am
How
I,
are we
what
going
do
to
I
make
do?
it?
What am I going to do?
Like, what are you going to, you're just going to start farming, and we're just going to make it. And I didn't really know what all would happen, and
Right.
I didn't know how much work it was going to take.
There's been deliveries leaving from here, and
Mhm.
it seems like it's a never-ending story.
Yeah, it feels like it too. But I mean, I wouldn't complain about it because it works. It works for our family, and I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more at this point.
When you look out these windows and see those beautiful fields across that little red dirt road,
Mhm.
what's in your head? What's in your heart?
A lot of the times I'll look out there when it's raining, or
Probably the only
in
time
the
you have
evening,
time to stop and
or in the
look.
evening, and that's really when I can stop and kind of think about what I'm looking at, and it's a lot of hard work, and I can see it, especially in the evenings if I go walk and I see all the different, you know, Nat will have cover crops, you know, and I see those, and they're so pretty when they're blooming. And then all the different crops he's growing, and I don't really stop and look at it until it's just quiet, and I can look and see just the amount of work that he's put in the past several years to get it to where it is now. But I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to sit on that porch with the American flag there and look out. And it makes me proud.
The Bradford family story sounds unique, and it is, especially in this day and age, but there are farmers and families all across this country doing the same kind of thing. Incredibly, this is still how much of the world feeds itself. This is what agriculture looks like in countries like India and other places. It just goes to prove where there's a will, there's definitely a way out here where the food comes from.
We are a member-driven nonprofit association of leaders from all facets of the produce industry.
Formed more than 20 years ago, we continue to promote the value of fresh fruits and vegetables in the Southeast through networking, innovation, community, and education.
Today, we are a thriving organization who continues to share and pursue our vision, mission, values, and goals.
We are the Southeast Produce Council.
When you purchase Georgia-grown products, you support farmers, families, and this proud state we call home. Together, we will keep Georgia growing.